Thank you very much, and another very good afternoon. And I've just said the section in which we are towards consolidation, finalization of our annual program. That we are where we are trying to prepare the research report that we can share with our audiences. And we just started on the 9th, or which was on Tuesday, on one of the topics, displaying qualitative data. As we finish displaying this very workshop, it should build a good bridge or a transition between this very workshop and the forthcoming workshop, which we will touch on today. It is on Tabular and many more diagrams, lists, and tables that are used in the presentation of data or in preparation for presentation of data and in the writing of the research report. There is something very, very important, which I always do not want to forget, is that what I present, although I've done research, people have got choices. You only choose to adapt or to take or to use what you think is relevant to the research study or that which will assist you to achieve the research objectives. In some instances, some of you are guided by the research questions that are there. You need to respond to them. You have got a problem that you need to sort out. Under the statement of a problem, you've identified what the challenge is. And you have even justified, under your introduction and background, you have even identified literature gaps. You have even made specific statements that the area where you want to venture, little has been researched. If anything has been researched, you are also going to say, to provide reasons why you want to duplicate a specific study, whether it is because of the use of a different research method or research approach, or it is because of the repetition of the duplication with different research participants or in a different study setting or study area. So you want to make sure that what you see as a problem is actually you contribute to solving it, so that at the end of the day, you can contribute to the body of knowledge. Because if your area has been researched, has been exhausted, find a way in which you can contribute to the body of knowledge. If it is a new area to venture, already there is, even before you start the investigation, that there is actually high possibility that you're going to contribute to the body of knowledge. So make those choices based on what you want to achieve. And we always say, if you make a choice, and if we guide and make recommendations otherwise, and you go at tangents and do it your own way, based on your own paradigm, your own worldview, then make a justification, indicate the reasons and the rationale of doing so. When we study, we should not have a lot of questions on why you are saying this statement or why you are presenting the findings like this. If you do that, even when you have to defend it orally, it means you are going to be very good and nobody is going to attack you. At the end of the day, you need to own and you demonstrate to us that the work is yours. Please don't ask anybody to write on your behalf and pay money, because you will not grow and you will not become a researcher. That person who writes is a researcher. You are only a rubber stamp. Please use the email macharehc@gmail.com when you communicate with me. You can communicate any chapter, whether it is a proposal or chapter 1 or the recommended chapter, sorry, the recommendation chapter and conclusion chapters, chapter 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then that is where we would engage. Yes, we will start here, but let me just remind you where we ended on Tuesday. We were discussing how we interspace comments from the participants within the narrative where an author is presenting, is actually discussing the outcomes and the findings, that the author might be discussing from a third person point of view on behalf of the participants. But at some stage, we did hear that we can select specific comments that are short, whether verbatim or indirect quotations from the participants, and those we can interspace in the discussions where we are presenting our data. These can be short, but we have also heard that sometimes it can be the quotations that are between two people in a way of a dialogue. I've presented a dialogue between the traditional leader and one of the research participants. The traditional leader was persuading the research participant to always keep abreast of the research process so that he could report back to their council. Those I did use as an interspace, as some quotations that were in between. And it was in line with what the author says. From the theoretical point of view, they say that can happen. Then when I went back to one of the research studies, I found exactly that. And to present to you is to show to you that what they were talking about is indeed possible, because I've done it. And let me confess that when I did it, I had not known that this author, the Yin 2017, also recommends it. But that strengthens your discussion. It strengthens your findings or your results. So we're going to skip. We're skipping the interspacing of short quotations, whether be it or a dialogue or from one participant. We are going now to look at how we use lengthier presentations covering multiple paragraphs. And the Yin says, the challenge of presenting information about the participants in your study, and especially quoting their own words, becomes greater in your study if your study presents more extensive material from the participants. If you are quoting them, and now you want to quote several statements. Now, particularly when they're telling a story that extends over a number of pages, or that go even beyond sections, or that can even constitute an entire chapter, which is acceptable in research and which a lot of people have done it. And the author that I've quoted here has made reference to a number of people that have done so. And he says, it is a big challenge. And he doesn't say it is not doable, because he said other people have done it. But why he says it is a challenge is because the how of it is important. And what do you include in the discussion? And what is the rationale behind that? And today he's going to tell us, and I'll read and make reference to what he says are the specific reasons why you can have conversation about or from one participant that can go several pages or that can go a chapter. The need for greater coverage can arise for at least two reasons. The first one is a particular person or persons may have an unusual circumstance that plays an important part in your entire study. If you're studying the culture of people and you find that there is a person whose response is actual, or whose life actually, when you track, is actually very relevant to the study and is providing answers to the research question, then the author is saying this can make you write more about him. And as we know that most of this, the narratives are from people. It might be that this is when, okay, a lot of people might be describing the person, or if a person is displaying this unusual life, then depending on your research design or the strategy for conducting this study, then there will be a lot spoken or said about this person. So you write very long. But there is a second way, a second reason that can justify writing long pages. A meaningful scene or dialogue may extend over a protracted period of time, unlike the briefer interchanges covered by the examples from other studies that we've quoted earlier on. So if a scene cannot be finalized or be summarized in short statements or in one paragraph or one page or so on, it means we cannot stop without completing it. We have to track it until we finish. If then we are forced to write more pages, that will be the reason why we have those pages. Because you want to present a full story, you don't want to have a half-baked cake. Otherwise, it is spoiled. The whole recipe would not be tasted. In either of these circumstances, now, it would be required, this would call, the circumstance will call for material about an individual that might extend over multiple paragraphs, if not a few pages of your studies report. We've emphasized that if you have not anticipated these needs or opportunities as part of your initial study design, you will have to consider returning to your participants to collect more data from them, whether or not in verbatim form, and then augment the database. You know what they're saying here? They're saying it might be that you did not collect enough information to cover the entire story about this human being, or to uncover the entire story about this event. And you find that there are pieces that do not match up. You've got the beginning and the end, you don't have the middle part. Or you only have the beginning, the middle part, you don't have the beginning and the end. You are forced to go back. And I think earlier on Tuesday, we made mention that even while you are analyzing data or you're presenting your results, the strategies actually might force you. No, actually they must. The strategies have got impact or implications on the methods. There's methodological implications. And here, if you are going back to the field, remember our argument about when does data analysis start? And we said, I argued, immediately you get to the field, it starts. I also even said just at the beginning when you are designing your research study, then a data analysis study has started. And I've made reference to your world view that already has assumptions, or you've got hypothesis. So there is methodological implications when you go back to the field. Whereas in writing, you said, I will first collect data, then I will analyze. I will first analyze data, then write the research report. In the research report, I will interpret data and then do conclusions. I will do the recommendation part of the research report after having done data interpretation. But in all these stages, while you think that you have just finished, you are from the field, you find that no, there is something that I didn't finish. Where do I get it? If I want to finish this story, then the better thing is to go back to the field to go and collect. Come and complete and finalize the story, because this is what your research is all about. Otherwise, it is going to leave some gaps. That is what you're going to do, whether you're going to do it verbatim or whatever. Now, remember, when you are actually analyzing your data at that stage, a lot has happened on you. You have been transformed. You didn't even understand what is fieldwork. You didn't even understand what is the general understanding of the complete research process. Now you've been educated. You find, no, man, I've missed something. Let me go back to the field. And then you are learning that, oh, In future, if I'm doing my PhD or postdoctoral, I will have to take care of this when I collect data so that I don't leave gaps. That is education that continues every time. And it happens to everybody, to a professor and to a PhD, to a postdoctoral student, and to somebody who has retired from an academic field. Colleagues, this revelation is another reason to permit a deliberate overlap between the data collection and data analysis phases of your study. Do you remember our argument? You analyze and interpret, or you interpret and analyze. But here you are analyzing or you interpret, you go back to the field. You see, you can do these two things, and you can do a to and fro process. And do you remember the jargon that I always use? I said research is reiterative, meaning that it is repetitive. And I always say it is recursive, meaning that it builds on earlier processes. So there is there's data analysis, which is built on data collection because you analyze what you have collected. But you might find that at one stage, your data collection is based on data analysis. As we are told here, that when you analyze, you find that you've got a gap. Please go back to the field. You're going to analyze based on your analysis. So the other stage can precede the other one. Two fro. Don't forget that. And this is what is going to build you if you don't forget. So there is methodological implication in all these processes that we're talking about here. The method of collecting data. Remember, data collection is part of your methods. Data collection methods. Data analysis is also part of your methods. You see? And this is how you implement your research design. I'm not going there today. In other situations, as part of your pre-designed data collection, you might have knowingly decided to limit the greater depth of coverage to a few participants, even though you also had collected smaller amounts of data from all the participants. Now, you might have deliberately not collected enough. You have collected few from those people who are your participants or your respondents. For instance, you may have started your data collection with a two-tiered design, which includes some people being part of your study and interviewed for longer periods of time, and other people included or interviewed for only shorter periods of time, now reflecting a greater variety of real-world situations. Now, here they tell us you can decide to gather a lot of information from other people by interviewing them for longer or getting in-depth information, but you can also do some superficial, even in-depth interviews. You can decide to have a shorter period of interviewing the people or the respondents. This is what they're telling us. So this is a methodological choice that you can decide to do. And if you have done that, it means you have done it. Even before you went to the field, you knew that in your strategy, in your approach, you would collect data with with some respondents, fewer time or fewer minutes, with some respondents, an hour or more time than others. That is when you've pre-decided. But if you find that you have not done it that way, that is when the earliest situation prevails and you go back to the field. Such a two-tiered pattern also offers a workable approach, because I would have had those brief presentations or brief responses, like informing me or being a pointer on what I should do. Then I go back. When in mixed methods, now I just want to make an example that if you've got either of the phases preceding the other one, whether it is in a sequential process, for an example, you might have asked the quantitative questions that when you've found responses and the findings or the results, then you need clarity. Then you make follow-up by going back to the field in the second phase qualitatively. And vice versa. You can start with qualitative whatever, and then later on you do a superficial a questionnaire that does not go very deep in depth, but it has got a wider coverage quantitatively, because we depend on quantities if we're doing quantitative phase. So that it means that the first phase informs the second, or the second is dependent on the first one. That is the recursive nature of conducting research. So here we are saying, if in qualitative research you have decided to only ask limited questions, or to have limited time with your respondents, you might find that you have decided that when I've analyzed their data, I go back to the field to actually collect more data. I don't know if this example pertains to that, but these people are asked differently, or even if you have asked the others, you have given others less time in your interviews, you can say, okay, this group less time, but this group more time. And you don't have to do it after analyzing. That is another scenario. Yeah. But the findings and the stories would differ. But they would, as we have had, present you with longer discussions, particularly those that you pay more attention to. And here, in this slide, you have got an example from Yin, his VGNet 101, Yin 2017. But as another variation, your study might only have focused on a smaller group of people to begin with. Now, oh, maybe this is what I've said. You can begin with your study focusing on a smaller group. That the quoted dialogue reported by somebody, usually a half page in length, are especially compelling because they are presented in both the original Spanish and the Spanish language used in the interviews and their English translation. This is just an example of a study that has used two languages, but it is where people have had shorter groups, a group where the interviews were shorter, or data collection processes were shorter. Readers familiar with both languages then have the ability to decipher themselves the original meaning of the dialogue. But with any of these variations, colleagues, your own contact with the participants in your study also likely means that you will have spent a lot of time with them, whether interviewing, participating, or observing. Because we're talking about using lengthier presentations. So in overall, whether the other group had lesser chance with you and the other group had longer chances with you, we are talking about how would we be able to report their long stories in our research reports. That the long stories would constitute several pages or even a chapter. Typically, when in-depth coverage takes place, authors of qualitative studies report spending time in their informants' homes, participating in community and family events together, or being involved in other situations as a participant observer. Here, they're justifying why you think you would be able to write long stories about events. It is because even what you have collected should be many. If you are a participant observer, for an example, you spend a lot of time observing how people behave. You cannot understand the behavior of a person by spending only an hour with him. It would be days, it would be months, it would be weeks. So over an extended period. So this allows you to record more, and this allows you to write long stories about him in your research report. This is when you're presenting. Typically, these lengthier presentations still are likely to contain a mixture of a researcher's third-person descriptions interspersed with quoted or paraphrased dialogue. In other cases, remember what I presented and what we dealt with on Tuesday did show that whether it is even in the short quotations, you have got the author reporting as a third person, in the third person, but in between bringing in some quotations. So even here, they're saying in those lengthy discussions, the quotations would be there. There is the researcher's third person description then interspaced with quoted or paraphrased dialogues. Colleagues, experience indicate that some people speak less, whereas others present long stories. Now, here I'm presenting a true case now. Now, I've presented to you what the research says, theoretically his understanding. And I told you that a person has got experience in as far as he has done research within the context where the study was conducted. But we in South Africa or ourselves as PhD or honors or master's students have got our own experiences. And I have got this experience, which I must share with you. And people that have gone to the field are going to attest to this. And please bear with me. When I stop, I want you to engage and remind me of this. I want your experiences on this, because what I've experienced is that you've got people that do not have a lot of words to tell you. Even if a person is working in a mine and a mine has collapsed and some other people have been trapped, as in Barberton or somewhere under Sivanye, I don't know, where the Falam Godi is happening. Or somebody who has experienced Falam Godi, or who has seen people dying underneath the ground because of this illegal mining, and where the kingpin has been torturing them and all those things, as they report. Those people, not everybody would tell you full details. Some will be brief, some will be detailed. Then extroverts detail things, but they can also put salt, remember? But the introverts will not say a lot, but they can tell you facts that you can report straight, factual. So this is my experience. I think you have also experienced that. Please mute, please. Colleagues, one would tend to record more from a respondent that speaks long or that speaks more, and this is normal. Because when he is telling you, you don't know what is facts and what is just not facts. You will only find that what you have recorded, not all of it is facts. And you throw out that which is not facts. Or you can use it otherwise. So in recording, you will produce a long narrative or a short narrative, depending on who is telling you and how much. This was the case in the study of the role of endoculture in nature conservation. And in the next slide, I will be able to show you those. In this study, a lot of the narratives were presented as appendices. Now, you see, the author here is telling us that you interspace the quotations in long discussions, and he has not yet made reference to the appendices, but I'm referring to appendices, because in my case, when I found that the story is very long, and it's not only factual, but it is long, or it takes long to reveal what is presented by the respondent. I took that and made it an attachment, and I've given it a heading. I've labeled it. You will be able to see some of those that I've labeled as an example here. So I did take them as appendices. So this is the experience and what I've done in order to make sure that I record these things and present them accordingly in the research report. Here, there was no deliberate move to separate participants into two tiers. Those that speak a lot, those that speak short. I never had that. And I didn't even know that that can be done. Then I would stay there if you're talking long, and I would leave if you're no longer speaking, because I've collected data and you don't have anything to tell me more. You see now, the process itself will tell you or will dictate to you what to follow and what to do next. That is when you're in the field. And this is the good thing about qualitative research, because in quantitative research, you've got fixed the procedures that you've got to follow, because the research design itself will tell you from stage 1, go to stage 2, you just do that. You don't go outside because of positivism, that paradigm that requires you to be objective. Its principles are objectivity, and they think that in doing that, you don't pollute the data. But I think Kidi did prove to you that there is no way that you can be totally objective. because your data analysis is actually interfering the responses, and actually other people are saying that is where you introduce bias. But otherwise, your data wouldn't be meaningful if you don't do anything. That is why we said the other day, even on Tuesday, that when data is analyzed through an AI or the data analysis tool, you still have to interpret it yourself. You give meaning to it because they will give you raw data. And what does it mean to us who are readers, who were not with you in the field, and who don't think like that machine? You have to analyze that thing. So this is what happens in research. In qualitative research, it is so flexible. And you can move from one area to another. You can be flexible in using the methodology. You can play around to and fro, to and fro. That is what happens. We enjoy that flexibility because we give shape to the study and we also give meaning to the findings. We deliberately do so. Although there are strategies in which we need to avoid bias. You know them. Now, this is an excerpt from the role of vendor culture in nature conservation, and it's an example of how the long narratives might look like. And this is what I said. I've put it as an appendices. This is an appendices, and one of the stories that I've put as presented by one participant or some participants. You see, they explain what happens when people did not listen, did not want to respect the vendor custom, that bad things did happen to them. They intruded sacred areas, and then they could see, when they were chopping trees, they could see blood oozing out of a tree. They could hear voices, and the voice of a child crying, a baby crying. The child was not there in the bush. When they look around, there was no child. But when they did not listen and continued to chop the tree in that sacred area, blood oozed. They started to run away, throwing away the excess and all those things. These are some of the narratives that I could not put in the middle of the research itself. Then I put it as appendices so that those people that have got appetite on reading the true narrative, the full narrative, they could go to appendices and decide which appendix to look at, because these do appear at the table of contents. So the table of contents would inform you where to find specific information. And when you are studying somewhere a specific section, you can say, no, let me go and see if the table of contents can point to me where I can look at in details on these narratives. So the way in which you write actually is dependent on you. The structure is so flexible and a lot of flexibility is allowed. Colleagues, when reporting about a participant observer experience, the researchers also may write in the first person. Now, here I didn't provide example. And I think last year I did provide an example to show you that in ethnography, and actually it was not related to this, you find that reports can be written in a first language. So here they are saying it is also possible. So I actually forgot to go and make that extract. But if needs be, then in the next workshop, next Tuesday, I start with it or I present I show you how it can happen. A less frequent style is for researchers to refer to themselves in the third person when reporting such dialogue. Now I want to stop here because I've never given you an opportunity to engage. I've said a lot of things about the long chapter, and I do not want to skip that one before you say something. So I can establish if we're moving together. Let me pause and remember, and I said, do engage me on the experiences that I have, because remember, books are written by human beings. It's only that I did not write a research methodology book, a research methods book. I would have actually reported on my experience. But I want you to engage and question that experience now, or you can make comments on that experience. And colleagues, remember, I said some of you have collected data, or some of you are in the field collecting data. Did you experience that other people speak less, that other people speak more? Did you spend more time with other people and less time with other people? How did you record? Did you record very long, or you recorded very, very short? You are analyzing your data. What was your experience in the field when you are recording? How did you record? Did you record anything long, or it was only short? Did you interspace, or you are busy interspacing now? Can you please share with us what you're doing?
On my side, I did semi-structured interviews, and fortunately, it's currently a case study which is focused just only on one department. So my collection of data was done via Teams. It wasn't a one-on-one, face-to-face interviews. So what I noted was, you correct in saying some people, like you said in the beginning, are introverted, or when they speak, you have to probe a lot in getting information out of them. Some interviews were long. The set time for the interview, according to the interview template that I had forwarded to all the participants, was asking for 30 minutes of their time. So it said the interview would be approximately 30 minutes to 45 minutes. I have participants that only we spent about 25 minutes, and I have participants where we went a little bit over the 45 minutes of the approximate time that was put on the template.
Yes, thank you very much. So same experience as myself. So colleagues, anybody else who has got a different experience or the same experience that you can confirm? And while you are raising your hands, colleagues, I want to tell you that we must not be stereotypic. This author says you can decide to have shorter time with others or longer time with others. And I've never done that, and I didn't know that it is acceptable. And the majority of people, I've never had anybody telling us that. No, I actually, when I read this author's account, is the only time that I could find that it can be done differently.
In my case, it's what I've realized, that the biggest contributor on time differences is the flow of the interview. Because sometimes, as much as you may ask questions that need someone to give more elaborative statements, they can decide just to make it as short as possible. So then that results into the difference in times. And sometimes you may find a person, you have set up maybe a 45 minutes appointment, and then it goes up to almost 2 hours, based on how the two of you flow and how the subject matter flow in your discussion. Because you have set of questions, sub questions, but then at times, as it continues, then there's other questions or other comments that just come out of nowhere. Because now you find out this person becomes so interesting that and they find you interesting as well, in a way that you guys just keep on talking. And then at the end of the day, it even becomes a beginning of a friendship. So yeah, that's what I've realized.
Beautiful. Thank you. You didn't make mention of examples from the mining sector. And I touched you, I said, Barberton had a mine collapse. And people can tell you differently about that experience. Someone will just say, no, 3 people died. It was in 2021 or 2022. The other one would say, yeah, I tell you, they died because the mine shaft was not stable, or there is a dolomite or whatever. You say, no, Stanford.
Yeah, Doc. Okay, let me add something. So you see, on my academic research, I'm doing a research in ontology engineering in cybersecurity. You see, so this, for me, it's okay. Academically, I decided to do that part because it is more on qualitative than quantitative. Where that's where we do interviews and stuff. And I have realized that there's more to learn in cybersecurity. There's more jargons to learn, and there's also the simplest things that happens that we are not even aware that there is security breach. You know, so that's why I believe with that gentleman that I met, the interview went so deep because I saw the passion in him. I believe we have shared the same sentiment, you know, and we ended up going way deeper until to a point whereby he asked me, what am I doing in IT while I'm in engineering? And then to find out that I started in IT and then went to engineering, then now I'm going back to IT. So yeah.
You're a quite interesting student. We must read your studies. As soon as you have got something that is tangible, please share with us. We want to read and find how your writings are.
We'll do so, Doc. We'll do so. Maybe there when I'm doing my PhD and then I start publishing, most definitely. But I'll do so.
Okay.
You know,
thank you very much.
I actually finished my diploma in 2009, and then now, you know, through maneuvering life, I end up deciding, you know what, let me do my BTech in engineering. And then I did that. But then now, as again, I go through life again, I'm like, no, you know what, engineering, thank you. Let me go to, now I'm going back to IT, you know, and then
Yes.
I think I've fallen in love with cybersecurity because I tend to realize that everything that I do, it revolves around cybersecurity, and even though it may be a different topic, but then now it's cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is there. It's either it's a solution or it's a challenge or it's a whatever, but then it's there.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing with us. There are a lot of people that I don't want. You see, Gildy, I want you to say something, but don't say it now. Because I'm overemphasizing these. You are the one who told us that you were even scared. You were not sure that when you approach the executives and your board members, those with the JSE listed companies, you thought that they would not be able to engage with you very well. But there, I think some of them were very long and some of them were very short. Those that were welcoming made you even to feel more comfortable. You see, the methodological implication of what we do and what we write in order to prepare for presentation. Just hold it there. I will find another slot where you would come in and you will share this one together with the question that I will pose somewhere when I pose. And we're coming to making chapter long presentations or writing things that will cover the entire chapter. The next to last chapter highlights a person who was not able to cope with this tension, whereas the final chapter shows that this is just an example that he was citing, and I think I must skip this. That is where, sorry, maybe I should have started here. An even greater challenge occurs when the life circumstances of a single participant is so important that you want to devote an entire chapter of your study to reporting about that person. Now, you see now, and I made reference to a chapter earlier on. Now, how do you do that one? There was a study by Anderson in 1999 of the code of the street or life in inner city neighborhoods, which concludes in this manner in its final two chapters. Each chapter is devoted to the main theme of his study, which covers the ways in which young African-American males are caught between the basic tension between the street and the decent, more conventional world of legitimate jobs and stable families. And you can read this from Yin 2017. So it is just an example of where someone had presented a chapter long about the interest aspects of the life of a specific family. Now, all this is just about that example. Just in these two chapters, Anderson deftly shifts between his third-person description of each participant and extended quotations of their own words. His ability to mix these two modes reflects a mixture of field of methods. Now, here are the methods that are reflected in what would be seen as very long discussions that span throughout the chapter. In terms of Anderson, this is what was included: extensive participant observation, combined with numerous casual conversations as well as extended audio recordings of certain of his interactions with the two people. I don't know if I said this on Tuesday, that when you have to record long conversations, it is only possible mainly to other people when they've recorded. And we have even made an example of those authors who could only do long discussions if they've recorded. And those that have done short ones, short quotations, always had used handwritten material. So here they're saying, here, the methodology has been a casual conversation or an extended audio recording of certain of his interaction with the two people. So it's when you are casual, you're not very formal, and you make your respondent very, very comfortable. And this has to do with the methodology and the approach, the data collection method, and that the person must not see that they are being studied. And that is where you stay with people so that they even forget that you are doing studies. You even forget yourself that you are collecting data, and you make a person comfortable. So he gives you very long things, very long information, and you're observing their behavior for some long. That would allow you actually to collect more. But at the same time, then the author makes reference to that you can record. Do you think if you are to stay for 2 weeks in a specific setting, you would be writing almost every minute? Your hand is going to be broken away. But you can use a recording device with a backup of either 2 or 3 devices that assist you in taking. But then you are making memos of what is happening when this discussion is recorded. What is the behavior, the non-verbal behavior of the participants? That results in very long writings, and in there you are writing using your own as a third person discussion, then specific quotations then are put, those that come from your participants and yours. So this is how they're telling us we can make very long, chapter long presentations. A related example arises when a study not only devotes on an entire chapter to a study participant, but also dwells on the person's own views and voice rather than any third-person description by the researcher. So it means the views, the specific verbatim, specific statement from that person, then is also included. And then it also adds into the number of discussions and in the narrative that is there. And I didn't go to all these examples of the studies because I didn't have time. Such a presentation requires extensive recordings of discussions with the participant, followed by thorough reviews of the ensuing transcriptions. You would have recorded, as we have said, recording is not 100% reliable because this is a technology. It would misrepresent you or spell some other statements very wrongly. So you got the transcriptions as they are recommending here. So you can revise and make sense of what was transcribed or what was recorded. So when people read, you don't lose them. If you just take any transcription and throw it into everybody, then people are going to get lost. We mustn't do that. Yeah, this is what is said here on this line, which is not visible. Yeah, this procedure needs to be followed with the utmost care, however, to avoid reimposing the researcher's perspectives on the material that will appear as part of the final study. And this is an element of bias that might be introduced because of the flexibility of the study. Now, but here what they're recommending is that we need to help the recordings or the transcription to mean what they were intended to say. But we don't have to change the meaning to suit us. Let us stay with the original meaning intended by the participants. I believe this procedure impacts seriously on the methodological approach as in VGNet 10.2 of YIN 2017, presented in the next slide. Here, this is a study based entirely on the voices of the people who were studied. So we're not going to go into that one, but it's just an now, except for, I'm going to read this one because there is reference to the reduction of bias element. Except for an introductory chapter, the 500-page study consists entirely of the words of the people who were studied, the members of the specific family. Entirely the words of the people who were studied. But each chapter covers one of the family's 5 members, and each member is covered in 3 separate chapters. Now, the author anthropologist, who was Lewis, suggests that this presentation tends to reduce the element of the investigator bias because the accounts are not put through the sieve of a middle class. Now, when people are telling you, remember, you still have a worldview. You can interpret it, and while you think you are interpreting it correctly, you can misrepresent them and then introduce bias because your understanding as a middle class is not the same as the understanding of the people from the rural area or people from the third class or whatever. Developing countries, less developed countries, and developed countries, people's experiences are different. So the author here is saying, there is a recommendation that using the voices original from the respondents reduces bias because you are exactly reporting the original statements in the original words. So this is also what happens when you are actually presenting. And there is an element of reliability that will be there because you rely on what has been said. No, it has not been twisted, no bias has been there. So the originality improves reliability and validity. Now he says the study took up to 4 years. Now let's hear this one. To obtain the needed material, the author made extensive tape recording of his queries and conversations within the family members over a period of 4 years. Colleagues, we have said that if you are to stay there in an area, you would not be able to write for a full duration of 2 weeks when you're writing every minute. And we said, in order to study the lives of the people, you would not understand it in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks or in 1 month. You need a long period. And here, a person stayed for 4 years, but you cannot write every minute of 4 years. Then you've got specific recordings that would be important, specific recordings that you would skip, and you would have made memos that an important aspect is on page this, or it is when this is stated because this was happening. Then you have to play around. How would you be able to report data of 4 years? You're going to write 4 Bibles because 1 year will constitute a Bible. I wrote 367 pages in 4 years and 2 months. So if I were if I was recording, and remember I was doing it handwritten, if I was recording, how many pages would I produce? To be many, to be Bibles and Bibles and encyclopedias. So time frame is of essence, validity is of essence, and elimination of biasness is of essence. Even when you are writing long things, even when you are interpreting or you're writing as a third person, but you have to interspace the original statements mentioned by the respondents themselves, or you don't even have to do that. You have to report it verbatim in the way that the author was making a recommendation. Now, there's also another approach where you can present information about different participants, but not focusing on the life story of any of them, but you generically summarize what they are saying, or you produce a story which is echoed by people, or which includes the many voices. And you would remember on Tuesday, we said, this is very typical of quantitative studies, because quantitative studies would report percentage in terms of a number of cases that have been included. It is 150 people who constitute 5%. So it is the views of those people that have been captured when they say yes or no, when they've chosen, I eat a donkey or I only eat lamb. That is the percentage in quantitative study. But here, you can also not go and report per individual, but you can include or in aggregate reports what they are saying. This sometimes when you do focus group interviews, that is where you concentrate on what most voices are saying, whether there's agreement or disagreement. Sometimes you are using a consolidated agreement, a consolidated finding. So here they are also saying you can listen to different participants, which are more than one. A more complex and totally different approach arises when the purpose of a qualitative study is to examine cross-cutting issues. You see now, in focus groups, interviews, cross-cutting issues that affect everybody who is in that room where interviews are taking place. Yes, to examine cross-cutting issues rather than the life stories of an individual or individual people or families. The narrative still includes mixtures of quotations and dialogue with individual participants, but these same individuals are not necessarily tracked from one issue to the next. You know what happens when you are interviewing a group of people, or when you've interviewed a group of people, there are those voices that are very critical, and some statements would have been mentioned by one person in the way that I did. You see, on Tuesday, I presented an extract that gave an account explaining what happens when you go to the sacred area, or what happens in a specific study setting. That might have been said by one person, but I'm not going to report as if there's one person who has reported it. I've listened to many people, but there was one outstanding voice that just hit the nail on the head. That is just very specific, and that's just very unique, and that describes the study setting per se, which is very, very relevant to the research question and to answer, to provide, to achieving the research objectives or the research purpose. That I would extract to show that here is the relevance. Here is a relevant finding to my research question or my purpose, my study purpose. That I would flag. So you would still interspace those dialogue, your discussion with those narratives, even if they come from an individual, whereas you are focusing on many of them. So the narrative is about many people, or is from many people, but if there's an outstanding one from one person, that is very important, then you flag it there. Let's discuss this when I pause. An attractive variation is again illustrated by one author, Lebo. We have said something about him earlier on. As his main text moves from topic to topic, the text refers to the experiences of different participants. Do you get it? From topic to topic, in another topic, about the same research focus, subtopic about the same research topic, about the same research focus. In one topic, one statement, some statements are emphasized or said differently by different participants. We will capture that. But in the next topic, those voices are a little bit quiet, but other voices emerge. So we do capture that. We cannot throw it away and can say that it is irrelevant. We do capture that, depending on the relevance and suitability of their experiences to the topic or to the research topic. If I've got nothing to say on subtopic number 1, doesn't mean that on subtopic number 2 I would keep quiet. No, I've got more experience on subtopic number 2. So as you are a research participant, I'll give you more information on that one. But the other participant gave you more information on subtopic or on another sub-question that answers the research question. So it is many of us that are giving you information that support your study. And this is what they say here, presenting information about us different participants about the research topic. However, to fill some of the gaps about any single participant, a researcher can then learn more about the fuller background and circumstances of each individual by referring to the 20 life histories, histories that appear on the end of the book. That is the book that has been produced by Labels. But we learned now, based on his experience, from one topic to another, different responses, different people playing a role there, but completing the entire value chain, the entire discussion about the research topic. This should not confuse you. As a result of this arrangement, and if wishing to do so, a reader also can go back and forth between the text and the life histories to gain a fuller text for the participants' interaction reported in the text. Here, I think there's something that I didn't share with you, and which I did not have access to. So the researcher is actually making an example of Liebel as an author, that the way in which people have responded in the text is also determined by their life histories or their experiences or their world views. People that have suffered in mines or that have been trapped underground, their stories are much better than people who were on the surface when the mine collapsed. So the background is Konana Nikorombe was once trapped in a mine. So we interviewed him about the experience of mine collapse. But Stanford was on the surface. We interviewed him about the experience of a specific mine in Barberton when it collapsed. So he doesn't know what happens in the dungeon, down in the shaft. He only knows what is on the surface, and the reality of it he hears from the people who were in deep there. So that will tell us, oh, he responds like this because he has never been down there. But Konanani responds deeply and in a passionate way because one of the rocks missed his head, or it knocked him and he was taken to the hospital for that purpose. That is the background that will determine the responses from the specific participants. And it means a lot to you who is collecting the data. That is the reason why you should, or sometimes when you are reading, you do understand the background of these people. So if you are a reader and you are reading somebody's book and he does have this background, as an attachment, you can go and study. Then it will enable you to understand the text that is there. When organizing a narrative in a cross-participant manner, the voices of the participants in a study are not presented in any depth. Do you get it? Although their voices about specific topics have been preserved, the overall goal is to draw attention to the topics and issues, not to the individual participants. Yes, I said very important, because all of them would speak with passion from different backgrounds, from different perspectives. But their background it's not the one that is responding to the research. Okay, it's assisting him to respond to the research question. But the core of what we want is what they tell us based on their background. So we won't go to the background necessarily when we want to capture what they must tell us. We would listen to what they tell us, knowing that they've got a background at the back. So the background actually supports them to answer to us correctly. I must not confuse you, because I agree with this sentiment. This cross-participant treatment is not to be confused with an entirely different compositional strategy, one that is not acceptable from any methodological standpoint. That is, when authors create a composite but imaginary person based on the experiences of different participants. This strategy, now really practiced, presents the composite participant as if she or he were a real person. You know what happens when many people give you their story? When you are writing, it is said you must not represent an individual or a person. It should always remain a composite, a combination of views from different people that are saying something about the research topic. It should never be individualized. This is what they're saying here, and I don't know what they're saying here because actually they are cautioning us on how to write. It should always be seen that the story and the information comes from many. It does not come from an individual, because we do have instances where when we're writing a paragraph or where we are making a quotation, it is specific to an individual. And that is the reason why earlier on we spoke about writing a full chapter about an individual. It means in that case, we must make sure that it is about the life of a specific person. Therefore, we're not although we individualize under that circumstances, it is acceptable. But here, where we're using different participants, we should never individualize the outcomes in the report that we present. It is for many people, it should be written as it belongs to many people, the results of many people. That is the layman term that I can use. Okay, I think this should be the end of this presentation, and I'm going from here to the one that talks about tables, graphics, maps, lists as what should be treated today. But I could not leave you without finishing the previous workshop. Then I finished that one. And before even I skip to that other one, I must now allow you the discussion.
I'm not really sure if I should actually say this is a question or a comment. Okay, so since you are aware that I'm actually still on the ethics process, the application. Now, my question is, because I want my study to be based on my work experience, I had an idea of actually doing an autoethnographic study, but then I've discovered as I studied that there'll be a lot of biases because mostly it will be based on my experiences. And now when I actually came to a decision right now to say, okay, maybe I can actually do just an ethnographic study whereby I'll be actually bringing about more views from the colleagues that I've been working with. Now, the question that I wanted to ask is, considering the fact that my research will be based on even years before the research committee actually allows me to conduct the study. Is it ethically correct to use that information, which is based on my experience and those of my colleagues? And another question is that when I was actually thinking of the paradigms and the methodologies, I actually focused on the qualitative study. Let me put it like that. But then I've noticed as I actually continue to read the journals and everything that the message will be driven much better if I actually added statistics and, for example, statistics on how many nurses are laid off due to negligence, how many retire, and what will happen maybe in the next 10 years in terms of nursing. And when I look at that, I become a bit confused as to say, okay, now which methodology, for example, can I actually adopt to actually drive the message home for the study to actually for people to actually see the need for the study.
Okay. No,
Thank
I
you,
want.
Doc.
Thanks for that questions. Those two questions are very big for me. They are professional. Yeah, I'm happy that they are actually thought-provoking. But let me allow other people to come in before I can say something. I've got a view on the two questions.
Thank you.
Anybody who wants to say something? And here, now, Edie, do we have you here? Remember, I mentioned you. You are a quantitative person. And here she asks aspect of biasness, or then she starts, then she finishes by talking about quantitative and qualitative, and then she's got a question if she's got a challenge or whatever. She will clarify if you don't understand it better.
As she was asking the question on quantitative, I quickly thought that the statistics, she could get that information from HR. Because in my case, I did mixed method using the sequential research design, and I did extract information from the annual reports. So that's why I'm saying in her case, she can get that information from HR as the number of nurses that retires and those that are laid off due to the reasons that she mentioned.
Yes, so she would be able to achieve her studies if she triangulates and uses two approaches. But the question is, if she goes qualitative, will she not achieve the study objectives? And she didn't even tell us the study objectives and the purpose of the study. Chauke, you must remember, it is not the methodology that must determine the study purpose.
Okay.
Sorry, no. It is not the methodology that must determine the study question. It is the research question that must tell you the methodology that must be used.
Okay.
And yes, and that alignment should be there. if the question cannot be responded to through qualitative measures,
Okay.
then there's a reason for you to justify why you think quantitative research or processes should be the ones should be brought in or should be the only to be used. And quantitative researchers and mixed research people, your Stanford would be able to come in. Stanford, you can come in. I didn't even finish. I give you an opportunity. Come on, Stanford.
Yes, Doc. You just hit the target there with what you said. So basically, what we need to acquire from our study will determine which method do we use. You know, because it's all about now you have a question that you need to answer, but then how do you answer it? Yeah, how you answer it becomes how you are going to gather your data.
Yes.
Okay.
And then that's when you know whether it's qualitative or qualitative based on what you need to answer.
Right. So
That's
can
the
I
point that
can I give you the working topic for now or title?
yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So the current working title is Mental Health of Nurses Working in the Emergency Department, the challenges and predisposing factors to their poor health and demotivation. So that's the working title at the moment.
Oh,
For
okay.
me,
Oh, yes. You can
sorry,
continue.
Doc.
Yeah, you can continue.
Yeah, for me, based on the question that you want to answer,
Mhm.
the first part, you need the quantity. You need to know how many or what is the percentage. And then
Okay.
from the percentage, then you go to your qualitative. What contributes to that?
Okay.
You see, but first thing first, you get the numbers. Know what is it that you're dealing with. Because now remember, you need to then distinguish. I'm dealing with this much percentage. So there's this certain percentage in what's happening. So if you go like, okay, now I have 46% of the staff that go through the plan that now I am asking. And then now you go like, okay, in this percentage, what is the key contributing factors? And then you bring your qualitative research in it. So in most cases, as much as we can say that we are using one method of data collection or analysis, at the end of the day, the reality is that we may have to touch on the other one as well. And without being even aware that what we are doing actually want us to use both. But the moment you then think deeper on what you need to answer, you need to know, how do I answer this? So always now, for me, I believe that always you need to understand the impact. Impact is numbers, and how it impacts when you go to qualitative.
So if I understand you, you are looking at challenges to your working title, challenges to their mental health of the nurses working in hospitals, correct?
Yes.
So what I would suggest,
specifically emergency department.
yes, in the emergency department.
Yes.
So now this is a working title. Now here, what you really need to focus on and locking it in, that will guide you then afterwards to what method you're going to follow, is to first understand what is your objective about this title. What do you want to get out of it? And once that is there, you then align it. What questions will you be asking in order for this research of yours? What do you want to see out of it? So now your research questions are going to be your guide, whereby when you ask these questions, and then the objectives of these questions, to answer these questions, what method will best suit this answer? So now you said you are falling towards more qualitative, but as you are going along, you see that you're going to have some statistics that you need to put in place. Remember, in Tuesday, I think also Dr. Korombi mentioned in the last presentation, with qualitative, there is also numerical data that you will get. whereby you have to, there will be tables that you will get in qualitative data. It's all about understanding your questions first, making sure that if you understand the questions you want to ask, the reason why you're doing this research, then you'll have your objectives straight out as well, because now they are locked in. You understand exactly where this is going. Now, when it comes to the method, that's why we have the steps and chapters when it comes to doing research. So when you understand, because one chapter feeds to the next and the next, so it goes in that order. Once you understand what the objective you are doing and the reason, the purpose of this research, when you're going through your research literature review, you are able then to touch and see. Most people did this research in this kind of method, where it was mixed methodology, where it was qualitative. Do I want to go the qualitative way? If I go the qualitative way, you go again, dig deeper to see what researchers have done. Like Dr. Korombi has said, we are doing what has been done already, but we are looking at the gaps. If you see a gap that this was done in the method of quantitative more, but you want to look at the qualitative part of it, whereby you go into the emergency in the field and talking to the nurses or the ones that are laid off to find out the information. How does it, how they struggle with mental health due to being exposed to such environment. Thank you.
Very good. Well
Thank you so
spoken.
much.
Thank you very much. And Cecilinde, colleagues, do you get these discussions in your recordings as they are
Yes.
now? Do they come out verbatim like this?
Okay, so I'm still studying with the ones from May. So yes, I do get the questions and the answers. Yes.
Do you realize the standard at
But
which we
because
are
I'm
now?
still
Do you see where we are
actually
traversing
quite
and
high.
where we are navigating? You see, this is true research about research. You are researching
Yes.
research, and you are, I think a book can be written about you. Hey, I wish I was studying yourselves. Woo! This is a focus group. And Cecilinde, I don't know which book can we produce, because all those this narrative that we do here every time, they are there in all these narratives. So if anybody is interested, I think I might want to be part and parcel of investigating the interaction in the academic literacy postgraduate program, either for a specific year or since 2023 to date now. And we can write a beautiful research report on that one. And if somebody wants to lead it, I'm there, I will participate. Yes. Chauke, Miss Chauke, I want you to do something for me outside this meeting. Please take my email address. Cecilinde will write it on the board. Do take my email address. I want to engage you together with Mpho Makosholo. Mpho, if you are listening to us, I want you to engage with me together with Ms. Chauke on this very topic and on how to go about. Then we can come and make a report here when we've engaged. Don't miss me, Ms. Chauke. There's very important. There are very important issues that I want to discuss with you regarding this very topic.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I'll do that.
Yes, thank you very much. So the other aspect that is important, and you asked it, you are afraid to go autoethnography because you thought you would be biased.
Yes.
I don't have a good answer for you, but what I want to tell
felt
you,
like if I actually only allow my voice to be heard, when I go for a review, for example, or when I have to now discuss my study, it will be more lenient towards the my views instead of the general views of the nurses.
no, I let me differ with you.
Okay.
Remember, you are going to follow a specific. Okay, this Atlahang, she will assist us. Atlahang, come on, please.
Okay, hi, Miss Chauke.
Hi, ma'am.
I'd like to differ with you on the autoethnographic part because I'm also doing autoethnography.
Okay.
So I don't think it would be more biased because it will not only be your narratives but also other
Yes.
narratives. So you'll also be part of the research. You'll be also the research participant,
Yes.
which makes it more stronger than other than just researching. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, Atle, I'm with you. You know, Miss Chauke, you
Yes, sir.
Sorry, Dr. Kurumbi. I think if I may recall properly,
yes,
there is a workshop in which you say, I think maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, you said you should be able to be part of the
The research
research or focus
participants.
group.
Yes.
Yes, but you need now to avoid some biases that may come with you being part of this. And I think there was a sister who is, I think, is it Naidu or someone who talked about her experience as a participant in a group, when she said she was listening to the recordings step by step of the interviews that she did. I think you explained that well. It's only that maybe I forgot some of the details, but there is something like that. Thank you so much.
yes, good. Maybe that I'm not the only one who is differing with Miss Chauke. Miss Chauke, if you still feel strong that they will be biased, please maintain that. But we want you to motivate why you think you cannot produce a credible research report. Because you must remember here, there is the research design. It tells you how to collect data, whether data is from you or from other person or from a specific setting, and there is a procedure. You've got research methods, you've got paradigm, you've got the research approach, you've got whether you to interpret or to collect, all of it is there theoretically. And you're gonna follow that theory, implementing it, depending on your choice, implementing it in the field and in data analysis, data presentation, and report writing. So you're going to be guided by the theory that says it. And if you actually listen to the theory has got checks and balances that ensure that through autoethnography, you don't introduce the element of bias. It is there. And I like to engage with you further on this outside. And we can go, all of us, to do research on this so that we can help you. You don't have to run away from things that you love because you fear the methods. No, the methods are there for us to exploit and to use. And when we have studied enough and when we go to implement them correctly, although flexible, we can ensure that that element is actually removed from your study and you can achieve what you want to achieve. I think we should not be.
Sometimes well, Doc, sometimes I worry that maybe my emotions may actually run high because I feel like the study is more personal because of the experiences that we have gone through in the emergency department. Now, because this study is now going to expose that, I feel like now I will not be able to detach myself.
No,
That's what worries me.
reflects. Okay. Naidu, Naidu, there she comes. She was here on Tuesday. Come on, sister. Come on, the sisters. Rescue her, please.
Okay, I think on my side, I would say if I hear what the colleague came on, Ms. Chaiwash is saying in terms of a study, it seems very similar to the study that I'm actually doing. So I would actually recommend doing a qualitative study because yes, you can empathize or understand some of the challenges that the participants may have experienced, but your voice is not going to come through. Your questions are very much going to be based on the literature that you've come up with that's going to have input into your questions for your interviews. And if I look at it, it's very much a case study based research. And you're trying to understand and get in-depth understanding of that phenomena of what's happening in that space. So to me, it makes more sense to almost do a qualitative study. You don't have numbers, but you're getting the in-depth data because you're understanding exactly, and you're getting close to the participants because they're going to share that information with you. So that would be my recommendation. And I think, I think sometimes we tend to steer with, maybe we've done quantitative research and it's maybe what we've done or have experience and done it previously. So we tend to stick in that same manner because maybe it's easier. My master's was a quantitative. I'm now doing my PhD qualitative. Yes, there is differences, but I think doing qualitative, you getting the in-depth insight because you actually interacting with the participants versus a questionnaire that just goes out to numbers and you solicit the feedback. But with the interviews, I find that it's a lot more engaging. It's a lot more personal, if I can put it like that, because you are getting to interact with them. And also you have the opportunity with semi-structured interviews, you have the opportunity to sort of tailor the questions as it goes. Yes, you have a guide in terms of what you're going to use, but based on the responses, if you want to unpack further, you have that opportunities in the session as well. Thanks.
Beautiful. You see, that is a professional input. Colleagues, I told you the standard of our work is very, very high. Don't leave it down. And I don't refer to Ms. Nadu alone, because this question, Chauke's question, has picked it up. So all of us are up there with her. We are traversing in a very, very high level, at a very high level. Colleagues, you must pat yourselves on your shoulders. I'm patting and touching yourselves now here, and I'm recommending you. Now, there was Pauline. Pauline, come on, please. Your views and your input at that very high level where we are. Colleagues, we are that very high. We must not drop the ball. We must keep on soaring high. Pauline?
Good evening, Dr. Kurombi. Good evening, colleagues. My input would be our past meetings that we had at beginning of the year. There was quite a big encouraged as researchers not to be reliant on one form of a research design. For example, in your master's or your honors, you've done quantitative. To grow as a researcher, we were actually, recommended to try alternatively to use either quantitative or either triangulation, and that improves ourselves as researchers. So that was point number one. I wanted to say there was actually a plea from the departments that we need to move away from relying on one method. That's one. Then the other one, I wanted to stand with, I think it could have been Mr. Stanford, that said, Ms. Chauke's topic speaks of impact. The moment a topic speaks about impact, it actually moves towards a quantitative study. But at the same time, she's keen to look at experiences in the trauma department or the emergency department. She wants to also understand the lived experiences and the mental health state. It also pushes it again to more qualitative. She's looking at lived experiences. So I would then recommend
It's
her
more
to
than a
use.
choice. I just felt for that one, but I actually prayed for her because I was like, dude, just
Okay. I'm not sure who's online now. I'm not sure who's online, Dr. Kurombi, but I would then say she would rather do a triangulation of both quantitative and qualitative.
Okay. Now, thank you very much. These inputs are still up there, but I've got a way forward here, colleagues. We have not seen a full proposal from her. We're only hearing her telling us things. And I will tell you that what she's telling us might not be a true reflection of what she has written. If we see what she has written, then we can be sure indeed what she's telling us is exactly what she has written. And I don't know how to do this. And if Miss Chauke is not shy, please, people like those people that have commented, Pauline, Miss Naidu, Kidiboni, because you have done quantitative triangulation, and Tutukani, did you make, and Stanford, those people that have commented, if she can share with us, we then can make a comment. You don't have ethics clearance yet, isn't it, Miss Chauke? You don't have. Okay, please, Pauline, Tutukani, Gidiboni, and Miss Naidu and Stanford, please do send your emails to Cecily Ndelo so that she can convene. If Ms. Chauke is willing to share, then she would share what she has with yourselves, so that what the inputs that we make is actually relevant to the studies. It's not irrelevant. If you are willing, Ms. Chauke, please do share. And colleagues, your names I've mentioned, and if there's anybody else interested, please do send your email to Cecily Ndelo, so that if Ms. Chauke is willing to share, if she shares her work with us, then you are part of that. And we would then convene, we can convene outside, and we can even bring, for the purpose, for the benefit of this group, we can even bring the results. And the results will be interesting, because none of us is not going to do good research. We will do research in order to make an input and a contribution to what Ms. Chauke is going to contribute. It will include Mpoma Kosholo, because I want her to also engage with myself and Ms. Chauke. Mpoma Kosholo, I do have your email address. Please, you also do send it to Cecily Ndelo. And colleagues, if you are interested, I've mentioned to you, please do touch there. Ms. Chauke, you are not forced to share with us, but if you want our inputs and you want the colleagues' inputs, so that you can enjoy our contribution and make a decision based on that, please do share it with Cecily Ndelo and myself. Then it will be a community of practice. It will be a very good. It would be, and this is the reason for us as a group to support each other and to learn from each other. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I've actually learned a lot from this group.
Is that is interesting. That's the purpose. Colleagues, anybody who wants to say something, do you still have some other inputs? We're left with 10 minutes. Yes, Mr. Magumbe.
No, Doc, I just want to greet you. It has been a long time.
Thank you very much. I also am wondering, I don't hear your voice anymore. There is Stanford and Nomsa, are you greeting or you want to make an input before I give Stanford?
Good evening, Dr. Korombi, Melindelwa, and colleagues. I'm just following Mr. Magombe. It's been quite a while, and today is, this week is just one of those very, very hectic weeks. So I'm just, a child in my naughty corner, quiet, joining late, forever apologetic. Hopefully next week I'll be back. I'm just working on a poster presentation. So I'm overwhelmed with data analysis. So
okay,
I'm still here, but in my naughty corner. Dr. Korombi, it's just one of those things where I got hijacked. It's another a project with colleagues from the student counseling unit.
Okay.
So I'm co-authoring two articles with them, and then they've got a conference. Sadly, I won't be able to join them at the conference, but I'm also authoring something they'll be presenting next week. So that's why even my Englishing, my English data is depleted, because I am exhausted.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for greeting us. Mr. Magumbe, You don't know that Nomhle and the other colleagues, Stanford and Gidi, made presentations on the work that they are doing. You missed. Do you want to present something to us or you don't? If you want to present something, we're going to open an opportunity for you.
Yeah, but today I'm not prepared, Doc, but if there's an opportunity, I'll surely do that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
We'll just wait for you when you're ready. Just tell us, we will open that one up.
Okay, Doc.
Oh,
And then
thank you very
Dr.
much.
Korombi, my apologies. Actually, I'm nominating now my co-author in her absentia. Maybe in a few weeks' time, when we've settled down, probably we can come and present, because it has to do with students in an Odell environment. Then maybe we can just something different and yeah, not a typical presentation, but a poster presentation. So the offer is there, but not now. Maybe 2-3 weeks,
Okay.
even next month, it's okay. Because yeah.
Yes, thank you very much.
I'm seeing flames. Thank you.
No, it will work. After Stanford, there's somebody, was it Silikwa, who was raising a hand? I missed that person. Can you please raise your hand? Yes, it's Mlelekwa. Yes, Mlelekwa. Stanford, do you want to come first or you want Mlelekwa first?
Mlelekwa can go first, Doc. Okay.
Mlelekwa, Mr. Mlelekwa, please come on. It's long time that you also don't appear here. Do you want to say something? Please, the floor is open for you.
Good evening, Doc, and good evening, everybody on the platform. No, I have not been appearing because I have not been receiving the links. It's only after I received this link, I think on the I started attending last Tuesday. So for the whole August, I have been asking and requesting, and nobody sent me the links. So that's why I was not attending in other forums. The question that I want to address, that I think the group discussion did not address, is what Ms. Chauke said about collecting data before obtaining the ethical clearance. My experience with ethical clearance is that they are going to ask, or one of the questions that they are going to ask is, when are you going to start collecting data? And once your response is, I've already started, it's gonna be problematic for your studies.
Yes.
So I just want to caution on that one, because I know it for a fact, and I wouldn't like her to get herself in that position where now she's going to do the actual ethical clearance application and she has already got the data. It's gonna be problematic. It's gonna just spoil the whole thing. So yeah, I just wanted that to be addressed so that I don't walk out of here knowing that it's gonna create problems and I've said nothing. Thanks, Doc.
Okay, thank you very much. Nomhle, is this about the ethics? You are an ethics guru.
Yes, Doctor, I'm actually writing here to say I agree with Mulelekwa. Please, colleague, do the right thing, because now everybody's degree, whether it's master's, honors, or PhD, is at stake. So, yeah, it's red flag. So please, colleague, do the right thing.
Okay. Thank you very
I
much.
probably must have missed that question because of my multitasking, but yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with Mulelekwa. Please, if you need assistance, you can catch me on Madala's side, but please, yeah, thank you.
Okay, and Stanford will wait until we will not adjourn before he speaks. But Tutukan, is it about the ethics?
Yes, Doc, it is. Please correct me, and Nomhle is scaring me with Mr. Mlelekwa here. Ms. Chauke, I don't recall you saying you've started collecting data as yet, because you are still at the part where to decide of the methodology to take between mixed method or qualitative. And I'm also hoping my insinuation is correct, because it is very important that you have your ethics clearance first before even attempting to do any data collection. So please maybe put us on the right here to say you didn't pose a question where you said you are collecting data.
Yes.
No, colleagues, no, you can rest assured. I haven't collected the data. What I meant was I've been working in the emergency department for the past 10 years. So, based on the experience that I've actually been gathering throughout these years and what we have gone through as colleagues, the study is close to my heart, because what I'm about to embark on is what we have been going through in the emergency department. So, what I wanted with my study was to actually bring a different lens into the studies that have been done. I wanted the nurses to have a voice. People usually say that nurses are unprofessional, nurses are rude, nurses, all those negative things that people say about nurses. So, what I need, or what I wanted to actually achieve with my study, was for the nurses to actually now come and actually correct those statements or confirm those statements, whichever it is. Why are they feeling demotivated to work in casualty? Why are they now no longer interested? Because when I came into casualty, I don't want to lie to you, I was happy to run on adrenaline. I was passionate about my job. But ask me today, I am not interested in doing it, because I know come month end, come weekends, come derby weekends, I'm going to be exhausted to the bone. So those are the topics that I wanted to bring across for, to get a clear understanding, for people to actually get a clear understanding, is why do they come across us and feel like we are rude towards them? What causes us to be rude? All those little things. Is it the management? Is it only us? Is it our attitude? Is it our cultural factors? What is it that causes all those things? So, no, I haven't gathered the data. It's more like in my mind, and it's more on my experiences. So, my study, hence I was saying, I'm not sure whether I should actually base it as an autoethnographic study, or if I should actually just purely say just ethnographic study.
Okay. Nomhle, is this still about heaven? Stanford, are you going to kill me?
Dog, you're not molding. No, but it's fine.
I still
Colleagues
stand for, but please go ahead. Sorry.
No, colleagues, no. Have the floor. Don't worry. Have the floor. Me, I'm
Yeah,
okay. Have the floor.
If it is about ethics, do follow up.
No, not ethics. It's. I wanted to comment about what Ms. Chauke was saying now.
Oh no, hold on. Let's first provide Stanford with an opportunity.
No, Doc, you know what? It's okay. She can go ahead. It's okay. It's okay. I'm learning and also fixing my answer as I listen to colleagues speak. So it's okay. That's part of research.
Okay, beautiful. Aha, that is what we're doing here. Nomhle, you can continue then.
Yes. So, Ms. Chauke, you presented two scenarios. I'm at least like now I've just had an aha moment, because initially I didn't understand, like when you said casualty, and like I'm thinking, but it will be conflicted, not conflicted, but biasness and whatever. So I've just had an aha moment. What you need to do is an autoethnographic research. Why I'm saying this, it's because you work in that casualty environment. You are going to also examine your own personal experiences and those things that you were saying that, get rid of the stigma that, nurses are rude, nurses are this and this and that. So you are in a way combining ethnography and your own, like your autobiography. So something similar to what Musi Maimane did. Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting based on what you've said. And just to declare as well, I still pay my nursing license, but I haven't nursed, so I truly understand what you are saying. I'm a registered nurse, everything with my what. So yeah, this is what I would suggest.
Are you allowed to administer an injection?
Yes, definitely. My license is paid up.
Okay.
It's
We
just
will
that
consult.
I nursing. Yeah, I don't like doing that anymore. But believe me, on the teaching side, I mean, I've lectured even doctors, on various things. So yeah, I just pay just in case. Maybe one day I'll need to go back to nursing or end up maybe lecturing in the nursing department. You'll never know. But yeah, so that's my contribution to you, Ms. Chauke. Autoethnography would cover everything that you desire to get out of your research.
Yeah, now you see,
Thank
I
you.
did not mention you. I mentioned other people's names that they, if she is willing, must participate. Do send your email to Cecilindelwa as well as the others, so that when you want to contribute to her, please, you can see what she has written. If that actually is pointing towards autoethnography or only at general ethnography.
Okay.
So you can make an informed decision and a good comment based on what she has written. And before
I know
Atlaham,
Melindola, she has me on speed dial, so I won't share. I won't
no,
share
she
my
will
email.
forget.
She has me on speed dial.
Let's do it for purposes of formalization. She has told you that she's short-sightedness. Now we don't know if she will also not forget you, because we
She
want you to
won't.
make an input. Yes. So
She must never.
okay. Stanford before Atlahang. Atlahang, you will come in. Stanford.
All right. Thanks, Doc. There's just few points that I think I'll add to what colleagues have added. When it comes to ethics, what I would advise to colleagues is that do the right thing, the right way, all the time, even when no one is watching, and ensure that you do it right the first time you do it. Because these things have a way to catch up with you, you know. So let's ensure that we follow those principles, the right thing, the right way, all the time, even when no one is watching, and let's do it right the first time we do it. And then again, when it comes to the how we collect the data, I believe that first we need to have a what. What is it that we're aiming to solve? How is it that we will gather what we need, what will support our decision on what we want to solve? And also the when, what we have identified as a problem, is it something that we can solve, or it's something that opens up for future research? So you need to have your what, your how, and your when. What are you solving? How are you gathering and analyzing your data? And when is the solution going to be implemented? Now on your research, or it opens up a gap for someone to come and do it. So that's just my 2 cents that I feel that I can add. Though most colleagues, they've covered a lot. I did my research through them, and I thank you for that.
Yes, you see, all of you, this class, you all today speak like professors. Yo, these people are touching us. Hey, Atlahang, also speak like a professor, as the others have done.
Okay, so Dr. Kurambi, I also wanted to add on what Nomtle said in advising Ms. Chauke to go for autoethnographic, most especially when she keeps on mentioning the fact that it's based on lived experiences, not only her co-workers, but also her lived experiences. And just like every other methodology, there will always be biases and other things. Hence, there are ways to avoid them. So I also agree with Nomtle that she should go for autoethnography.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, Stanford.
And Doc, I forgot one thing. You know, it's okay to use emotions when we deal with certain matters, but let's ensure that we support our emotions with data. Because remember, without data, you cannot decide. On my presentation last, I said that what you're able to measure, you'll be able to manage.
Yes.
So how are you going to conclude without having something with you? No matter how much emotions you invest in it, let's ensure that we support it by having sufficient data on what we put our emotions in. Thank you,
Beautiful.
Doc. That's what I wanted.
Beautiful. Let me say something about the ethics and data collection before ethical clearance. You know that we've got hypothesis, colleagues, and you know that we've got assumptions. We have got expectations, things that we think the study should provide. And in some research, when actually under the your research purpose or your what is this abstract, you can even indicate what type of outcomes you think the study would provide. That one is actually dictating and is telling people, I think, I suppose, hypothetically, because I've read literature, it says this, and I think the outcomes would be this, and I think the existing problem is this. Colleagues, biasness is there when you don't control it, because already Ms. Chauke has got some things, which is a pool of resources. It is part of the data that she will use. She will not use all of it. From her experiences, she will choose things that are relevant to the research topic, and she would use it. And this is her experience that has been there before she started her research proposal, and that is there before she applied for ethics or whatever. Whether she's applying for ethics or not, there are things that would not be detached from her that will be there. They were there before she could decide to study, and they're going to stay with her. Some of the things will be confirmed in the study. Some of them, she will throw some other things in her worldview when she is studying, because she will start to understand the world, the setting, the study setting better than she did. Remember, she has got those emotions which she thinks are going to influence the study in a biased way. She doesn't know what the methodology will do to her. The methodology will actually trim that emotion and throw it away, and will force her to only speak the truth, because she wants to have a credible study. And I'm saying this in a layman's language, but scientifically it is allowed for us to project what would come out, particularly in your quantitative research. Your hypothesis, you're gonna prove it. You've got a null hypothesis and a positive hypothesis. All of those things are guesswork, but they are educated guesses. They are based on your experience, your worldview, and the literature that you have studied. And you cannot call them bias. No, we are scientifically allowed to guess educationally based on empirical evidence that we have had and the worldview that we go through.
Thanks, Doc. Allow me to risk the opportunity to succeed academically by differing with you.
Yes.
You see, ethical clearance, especially because she is dealing with human involvement. One of the objectives of ethical clearance is to ensure that those participants, you will ensure that they are safeguarded. And how are you going to make sure that they are safeguarded? So your hypothesis is not what they're going to question. Have you ever consulted those people? And if you haven't, or if you have, it's already a negative. But if you haven't, what are you going to do in future to protect the information that you are going to get from them and even them as participants? That is the key questions that they are asking. I've gone through the process.
I know.
So I'm just afraid I don't want her to go into the stage and say, because I'm involved in the environment and I've got colleagues, whether they are your colleagues, your family, or whoever, because they are human participants, it's even more critical to say, how am I? If you have already consulted them, forget. That's all. There's a message I want to bring. So I just want to question on that one. Thank you, Doc. Please don't fail me. I was just saying it, risking my academic progress. Yes, but that's all I wanted to say, and I should say. Thank you.
I respect objective views. And Stanford.
You know, I wanted to touch on the hypothesis. So basically, for my take is that with the hypothesis, we bring the assumptions on what is it that we the study that we are doing may bring up, and then you'll have your different your negative and your positive. And then the data that you will collect and then you analyze will then give what you call a decision or a conclusion on which hypothesis passes on the study that you are doing, that you have collected and you have analyzed. You know, so it's good to have hypotheses when we do studies that have numbers in them, because now that's where it helps us to qualify if what we are trying to achieve is indeed achievable by us assuming what is it that the study may bring, and then what the study brings, then it will then link us to where are we going from here. Because if you do not have a hypothesis, you may find yourself being ambiguous in what you are writing. You are going left, but you are going right again and left again, you know. So it's good that when we deal with quantitative, you have your hypothesis, and then you let your data decide for you on which hypothesis it leans on, you know. That's what I wanted to say based on the study that I did, on the presentation that I did touch a bit on hypothesis, though I did not dwell so much on it, but yes, it plays a vital point when you deal with a quantitative, because with quantity you then have your pass mark, and then your pass mark will then determine which hypothesis is it that it qualifies to. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So,
thanks a lot. Thanks.
That
closes our discussions today. Thank you very much for your contributions. Colleagues, you have taken it very high.